Welcome to this new lesson. In this lesson, we are going to download the audio file from a YouTube video. Let's go to Visual Studio Code. Now, in the controllers folder, I am going to create the controller file. I will call it YouTube Insights Controller. Node.js. So the first thing, let's define the function that will do the entire functionality of this controller. We will call it generate YouTube insights. It will take a link and it will take a flag if it is in English or not in English. This function will do the entire steps. It will download the audio. It will then transcribe or translate the audio. It will then generate the insights. The next step, let's export it. Let's now generate a new function that will be specialized in downloading the audio from the video. Now let's call this function and let's console log the returned file path of the audio file. Okay, so now we have the generic function that will be called from outside. We have the internal function YouTube audio downloader, which is this function. We just pass it the link. It doesn't require the not English flag. And this function will return the audio file path, and we console log that here. The first step will be to verify that the link is on YouTube. We check that just by checking for youtube.com. Of course, we can do more validation, but that will do for us here. If it doesn't contain youtube.com, then we console log an error and then we return false. Then we introduce a try catch blocks. In case we catch an error, we console log that and we then return. Now let's go to the try content. Now we need to use a library, so we have to install it. Let's first import it at the top. So now here we have imported it. Now I will need to install it, so I will do npm install YouTube downloader core Discord. Okay, let's now get the YouTube link information. We can do that by calling this object of type YouTube downloader core Discord, of course, and we will call the method getInfo and pass the link to it. Now that will return a constant, which is the various information of this YouTube video. Then we specify that just the audio part of the video need to be downloaded, so we call the choose format. We pass the info object that we created here, and we pass JavaScript object, which is a filter that's saying audio only. Now we need to import another library. This time it is the sanitize file name, so let me install it. npm install and the name of the library. We use this in order to make sure that the audio file name does not contain illegal characters. So let's go back down here and add this new call. Here we are calling the sanitize object that we have just required at the top. We pass the title of the video. Then in the sanitize function, we make sure that this title doesn't have any illegal characters. Then we stick .mp3. So here we will have output file path for the audio file that is in the name of the YouTube title, sanitized, to make sure that it doesn't include any illegal characters, .mp3. Okay, let's now log a message that we are downloading. Then let's create the stream that will be reading the file from the youtube.com site. Now we created this stream. We need to attach it to a file that we need to write this stream to. So now we need to create a stream for the file in order to connect the stream coming from youtube.com to the file. So we create the stream now. So this is for the output file. We call file system.create_write stream. We path this output file, the sanitized output file, and we create an output stream. Of course, we are accessing the file system, so we need to go to the top and import the file system. Okay, so then we will need to connect these two streams together. So that's what we do by the pipe method in the original stream. Whatever we are reading from the website, we are writing to this file through the file write stream. We need now to listen on the write stream to see when the write has been finished or if there is an error. Now this will happen in the future when the file is completely downloaded or when an error happens during the write to the file. So as this asynchronous happening in the future, then we need to attach this to a promise. So here what you can see is that we are creating a promise. Now for this promise, we will pass an anonymous function that will execute and will be called for the required event. First, in this function, we need to listen for the finish event. So this will be called when the write to the write stream has finished. And let's also listen for the error event. So now inside the promise, we have a listener for the finish event and we have a listener for the error event. Let's first handle the error. So if we get an error, then what we'll need to do first is to console log that as an error. Then we will need to reject the promise. That will cause the catch part of the promise to be called and will be given this error. In case of successful and of finishing successfully, we first want to log that. So we'll log a message saying download complete. Then we need to accept or resolve the promise. That will cause the then method on the promise to be launched with the file name as parameter. So that should complete this function. So what we did is that we installed two packages, the YouTube downloader core Discord and the sanitized file name. Then we passed the link to the function. We made sure that the link contains youtube.com. We got the info. We selected the audio only, download just the audio. We created the output file path and sanitized that. It will be the title.mp3. Then we started downloading to a stream. Then we created the destination file stream. Then we connected both streams. Then inside a promise, we listened to two events, the write stream finish and the write stream error. In case of finish, we downloaded that things are correct and we resolved the promise with the file path. If there is an error, we looked at as well, and then we rejected the promise to cause the catch part of the promise to be called. Now we are calling this function here at the top. We are using await because this returns a promise, so we can use await, which will be called, and this file path will contain whatever file path we have accessed here, and here we log it in. Okay, to test that, let's go to the playground. Here we need first to import this controller. Then I will introduce the three YouTube, which we will be testing with. Then I will call this function, passing this first YouTube. Let's now try this. So I will come to the console or to the terminal. I will do node playground. Okay, Now the video was downloaded and the download was completed, and this is the name of the file. Of course, if we go back to our file, you can see that this is where we printed the first message. This is where we printed the download complete message, and we returned the file name, and this is where we logged the file name. Now I will go to the folder and start the audio to make sure it is correct. Okay, so inside this, here is the audio file. Let's play it.
You were in the previous minute. All of that.
Okay, so it seems that the download is now correct. Next, we will do transcribe or translate the video. This concludes this lesson. We will meet in the next lesson.